Welcome everyone to the Tonkin Legal Group, home of the Australian Family Law Podcast, the AFLP. Definitely not the official podcast of the Australian Football League. I am once again your host, Joe, presenting to you episode 8. Charlie and St. John, the ever regular stalwarts, join us yet again. Charlie, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Joe. Good to be back. Good to be here after a win from the D's, as always.
Mate, this is a ripping win against the two-time reigning premiers, if you don't mind. St. John, your team a little bit further behind.
Good afternoon, Joe. Potentially go winless this season, but I had a double heartache on the weekend. My beloved doggies, my second team, look they're out of it now, fellas. I've lost my grand final bet. I think I just think they'll peter out from here, unfortunately. No Darcy, no English, no doggies.
Charlie, we were right, weren't we?
Look, I don't want to rub it in.
With the benefit of hindsight, I was right.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's exposed the lack of depth at the doggies. But to be fair, anyone's going to struggle with their best, one of their best players out for the year. So condolences to you, St. John.
Thank you, Charlie. Well accepted. Thank you. I just wanted to pose a question to all panel members, including our special guest, Sabrina. Do you think Richmond will win a game this year?
Yes.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I'm enamoured by your very quick and authoritative responses.
Yes, St. John. No one goes a whole season without a win, but we certainly have a big win today because we are joined, as you rightfully point out, we've got Sabrina Rodder, who is, of course, a colleague of ours here at the Tonkin Legal Group, to join us in what is a very special episode. Obviously, there's been a lot of news talking about Elijah Hollands and mental health, and we all know, I suppose, that psychology goes a long way when it comes to separation, and we thought it would be excellent, and we're so pleased that Sabrina has decided to join us, accepted our invitation to come on at very late notice to talk about the psychology of separation. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for coming on with us.
Thanks so much for having me. I am equally excited and nervous to be here, but I'm sure it will be a fun time.
Yes, it will. It will. We'll definitely make sure we look after you. Probably a little bit better than how Collingwood look after your nerves, don't they? There was a pretty close call on Thursday night, I think it was now.
It was a close call, but I'm a seasoned Collingwood supporter, so it's just what I expect when I watch the games now.
That's brave, very, very brave of you. And the reason why we've got
you on. You've been a bit spoiled, though, Sabrina, haven't you? As a Collingwood supporter, come on.
Yeah, we've had our time, and I think now it is not our time, and that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why we've got you here giving us your time is because of your studies. You're currently going through your honours in your psych degree, and obviously we couldn't get anyone, I suppose, at very late notice from a pure psychologist. But in terms of you going through your honours, your neuroscience background, the fact that you're going through a thesis at the moment with discussing eating disorders and social media. Well, social media is absolutely rampant at the moment with what's happened with Elijah Hollands. So thought with your background, with what you're going through, perfect time to sort of discuss the psychology of separation at this point in time with what's happened with Elijah Hollands. What do we think about what's happened with Elijah Hollands? He's currently been admitted to hospital as confirmed by the Carlton Football Club. So, it's been an absolute whirlwind. And, where do you even start with this?
It's concerning, isn't it? I saw some of the footage on the weekend after the game. It wasn't apparent during the game because I watched the game. Although he was virtually possessionless. And there were some worrying signs. He looked like he was out of sorts, didn't he, Charlie?
He did, yeah. I mean, the first consideration is hopefully he's okay and his well-being, and he's in hospital at the moment. But yeah, I mean, one of my first thoughts was, how did his teammates or any of the assistant coaches or the coach see what he was like before game? Because you would have seen one of his kicks during the warm up was pretty not great. So yeah, it was bizarre, but yeah,
And
very
apparently
sad that he hurt his own.
apparently the Collingwood players were concerned enough to talk amongst themselves about his demeanour.
Yeah.
And I do hope he is okay. Sabrina, as you know, you work in our firm. We deal with people who are going through difficult family law separations and people who are dealing with the death of a partner in wills and estate department of the firm. It can be a difficult time in someone's life when everything's turned upside down, can't it?
Absolutely. And I think in regards to that situation with Carlton, like Charlie said, that's the question on everyone's mind, is how did it get to that point where he was allowed to play? I mean, going through something like that behind closed doors would be hard enough, let alone having it made into almost a spectacle in a sense. Like some of the commentary I've seen on social media has been awful. So I can't even imagine what that would be like for him and his family.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
especially
Also,
his brother. His brother was out there as well. So we were saying earlier, like, if, seeing your brother out there and that going on, it's just, yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what sort of, signs, I suppose, would you be identifying when someone appears to be sort of off their game from a mental health perspective? Like, for example, the Carlton teammates or the coaches. What sort of things do we think that we really should be paying attention to when it comes to these type of high pressure situations where someone's clearly off?
Yeah, well, I guess in terms of just generally someone looking off, most people will be able to tell, especially if you know that person, right? Their behavior will be different. They'll be more withdrawn. They might be isolating themselves. They might not be looking after themselves as much as they should. And these are all signs that we can see from the outside, but oftentimes we won't actually notice what people are going through. Humans are very good at putting on different faces when they need to. So oftentimes when we're struggling, those kinds of things, those behavioral manifestations or overt behaviors, I guess you could say, you might not notice until it's actually worse than when it started.
Well, there's discussion that it wasn't drug or alcohol related, which is good news. If we can look for some positives in the unfortunate incident. Just discussing with a lady earlier this week about the effects her separation has had on her mental health, and that she's sought out the assistance and professional help that I think will be beneficial for her. But it's often difficult for some people to find a support service or a support network when they're having these mental health issues. And certainly from our perspective, psychologists are very busy. It's hard to get in. There's waiting lists.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. So, and we don't have too many family law clients who aren't affected by the situation. And sometimes it may be situation based and they may get through the other end, or it might be an ongoing problem that needs to be addressed on a more permanent basis. But it looks like Elijah's had some issues for some time, and let's hope he's well on the mend and he's back out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why Gold Coast let him go, unfortunately. You can see why Carlton delisted him and gave him another chance to sort of try and win his spot back. So they've got plenty of, they know full well what they're dealing with and what his issues are. So whenever you have these types of players in a multi-million-dollar industry, you'd be hoping that there'd be a lot better tips, I suppose, and guidance to help protect these players. Sabrina, what would you say would be some pretty important, I suppose, well-being tips for parents, for example, if they're going through a separation? What sort of well-being tips would you give for mental health perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, separation or divorce is actually been recognised as the second most stressful life change. In the 1960s, two psychiatrists developed a list to try and be able to predict life stresses, and divorce is actually number 2 on that list of, I think, over 50 other odd life events. So feeling
what was number 1, Sabrina?
Number 1 is death of a spouse.
Right.
Yeah. Followed by a divorce. So and that list is still considered valid today. So I think any stress is normal and expected, and that's best case scenario, depending on the type of supports that you have, depending on the nature of the relationship. It's absolutely normal to feel a range of emotions. So I guess in that sense, it's definitely important to look after yourself first and foremost. Surround yourself with people that will provide you with a space to be heard and reassured, but also not being afraid to reach out should you need further assistance.
Are there any other, Sabrina, warning signs, like you mentioned before, people being a bit more withdrawn, particularly after a separation or going through a difficult family law separation? Any other warning signs that someone might need some professional support?
Yeah, so like I said, it's expected and normal to be emotional about the situation, but when you might consider that something's awry is when, one, if it's been going on for normal than what you might expect, and 2, if it's impacting your daily life and functioning. So if you're not able to go to work for a long period of time, if you aren't doing your usual hobbies or routine, or if you're not keeping in touch with friends and family, sleeping, eating, all of those basic life skills that are important. If you're not keeping up with those, then that's definitely a sign that you might need some extra support.
Excellent. And if there's any children involved, if it's a parenting matter, is any specific tips about how to support some children in the separation?
Well, I guess because I'm not a parent myself, I can't, I don't know how obvious these things will sound, and I don't want to sound patronising, but I do know a lot of my friends and general life experience and growing up with separated parents. I think being able to be honest with your children without involving them in the family politics is very important. Depending on age of the child, you want to be sensitive to that. So not trying to overcomplicate things for younger children, and not trying to patronize older ones, giving them a little bit more clarity about what to expect. And another thing as well that we know from like just a developmental perspective is that routine for children is so important and so comforting. So just trying to establish a new routine and stability is really important as well.
Yeah, I think they're really important points, and I can only add that in the sense of a separation that involves young children is that you need to remain child focused. It's the hardest thing to do when you are worried about other issues. But if you can remain child-focused and look what's in the best interest of the child, then that child's going to be better balanced, in a better routine, and in a more consistent existence, which, as you say, is really important. There are a lot of support services out there for children as well. There are things like play therapy and things of that nature, which enables them to be at their age appropriate level, but still being counselled and nurtured through a difficult family situation.
Absolutely. And I suppose before we go, thank you so much for your time here, Sabrina. It's been awesome. Our two teams are playing each other on Anzac Day this Saturday. Who wins?
I actually don't know. I'm not feeling confident with Collingwood at the moment. So I reckon you guys are in for a chance.
Whoa.
Come on, boys. And then meanwhile, our two boys here in the middle, Charlie and St John, what's happening with you guys on Friday night? Who's going to get the chockies?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sabrina, for coming along and sharing with us your insight. I'm going to make this short and sweet. We'll get flogged. But it's all for a greater cause, isn't it? The Anzac Day Eve night. It's always a good night, a good spectacle. I ventured to the North game on Sunday and won't be heading back to the footy for a little while.
I wouldn't be so sure, St John. I remember we spoke in the lead up to the Melbourne Essendon game, and I assured Joe that the Bombers were a big chance because Melbourne are always capable of losing games. We're expected to win. So you mentioned before, can you go the season without winning a game? It may end Friday night.
I hope so. All I can say is bring your Melbourne jumper in. I'm prepared to wear it on next Tuesday, and I'll wear it with pride.
Go D's.
You know what, Sab, I think it makes sense. Look, if you guys win, I'll don a Collingwood scarf if need be.
All right, I have a few handy, so I'll bring it in.
Huge. What I can say about that game, Joe, is it's going to be a good one. I think.
Yeah.
I think you're both at quite even levels at the moment, so I'm looking forward to it.
As long as the ARC don't get involved and take any of our players off the field anymore. Looking at you, Andrew Dillon. Looking at you, AFL. But thank you guys. He'll be watching like a hawk. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you enjoyed what you had to hear or see here today from this episode, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to not miss out on any of our episodes. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please rate us 5 stars. Charlie, St John, Sabrina, thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks all. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.